viewers, this is the global news on Top Accolade News. First, the headlines. Widow of man shot dead by police in Rivers demands justice. Senate suspends El-Rufai Okotete Danladi screening. WAEC withholds result of candidate over billion naira debt. Niger's military leaders name Economist as new prime minister. Details coming up shortly. Widow of man shot dead by police in Rivers demands justice. Mrs. Ebitari Peterside, widow of late El-Rufai Peterside, who was allegedly shot dead by a trigger-happy policeman in the presence of his family in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, last week, has called for justice over the gruesome murder. The 39-year-old mother of three also dismissed claims by Rivers Police Command spokesperson, Superintendent of Police Grace Iringe Koko, that her husband was killed by a stray bullet fired by the policeman who were chasing robbers. While speaking with newsmen in Port Harcourt, Mrs. Peterside said amidst sobs that the policeman who killed her husband shot him directly while they were inside the car and were about to drive off from a lounge in the Elekaya area of Port Harcourt. Narrating the incident that led to the death of her husband, Mrs. Peterside said her late husband took her and their three children for a seat out at the lounge when suddenly they started hearing gunshots following reports of robbery attack around the area. She said it was at that point they left the lounge and wanted to drive out when a police team arrived and one of them stood in front of the car and shot her husband in the chest at point-blank range. While expressing shock that the police officer would shoot and kill her husband without provocation, Mrs. Peterside pleaded for justice for her late husband. The Rivers State Police Command told journalists that the officer who shot Mr. El-Rufai Peterside dead was attached to Gombe Mobile Police Unit, and he had been arrested along with others who responded to the robbery incident for investigations. Moving on, NAF conducts airstrikes on illegal refinery in Rivers. The Nigerian Air Force NAF has conducted airstrikes on an illegal refinery site in Rivers State. This information was contained in a release by the NAF spokesman, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, while speaking on the military's commitment to end incessant crude oil theft in the country. According to him, fighters aircraft of the Nigerian Air Force neutralized some oil thieves found illegally tapping crude oil from a pipeline in Bonny Island, Rivers State on Saturday. He said the airstrikes became necessary after three boats were sighted tapping crude oil from a pipeline. The boats were engaged and destroyed by the aircraft. Another illegal refinery site near Port Harcourt was also destroyed. Gapquet noted that the military would no longer treat criminal elements in the country with kids' gloves. And away from that, the NLC TUC met Tinubu's team today. The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC are to meet with a government delegation on Tuesday with a bid to resolving the issues that sparked the public protest led by the organized labor last week. This development was disclosed by the NLC President Joe Ajaero, disclosed on Monday while speaking to journalists. He said that the protest was suspended after the intervention of the National Assembly and the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Ajaero explained that the Senate has promised to get back to the unions in order to resolve the issues within a week. And away from that, Senate suspends El-Rufai Okotete Danladi screening. The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has confirmed 45 of the 48 ministerial nominees presented by the President Bola Tinubu for screening. This leaves 3 of the nominees out as at Monday due to delays in getting security clearance for them. The three affected are the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the former deputy governor of Taraba State, Senator Abubakar Danladi, and Stella Okotete from Delta State. The trio are said to have petitions against their nominations. Moving on, Quranic memorizers asked Tinubu not to swear in El-Rufai as minister. A group known as Coalition of Quranic Memorizers and Reciters has advised President Bola Tinubu not to swear in the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, as minister. The Director of Education, Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bauchi Foundation, Sheikh Sidi Aliyu Sise, made the call on behalf of the clerics in Bauchi, saying that Tinubu should tread with caution and not to swear in an unjust politician with questionable character. According to Sise, the nomination of El-Rufai and a screening by the National Assembly was injustice to Quranic memorizers and reciters, as El-Rufai was alleged to have oppressed Al-Maraji when he was governor. He said swearing in El-Rufai as minister would mean that Tinubu is in support of the injustice they suffered while El-Rufai was governor. You're watching the news on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. It is the news on Top Accolade. 5 killed in Fred's Plateau attack. As security concerns continue to escalate in Nigeria, reports from Plateau State say that 5 persons, including a pastor, were killed in Inchal village, Mangu Local Council of the state, on Monday. Inchal village is less than 3 kilometers away from Mangu town. Among the victims is a pastor with the Church of Christ in Nation, Kosin, just the report said. The police public relations officer PPRO in Plateau, Alfred Alabo, said he had not been given details of the attack, adding that he was going to contact the divisional police officer, DPO, of the area to find out what really happened. Moving on, police trail abductors of Monarch wife in Nasarawa. The Nasarawa State Police Command says that it is on the trail of gunmen who abducted the Emir of Groku, Jibrin Mohammed, a first-class chief, and his wife at his palace in Groku, Karu Local Council of the state. The spokesperson for the command, Rahman Nansel, confirmed the developments to journalists in Lafia on Monday, adding that the Commissioner of Police, Mayaki Muhammad Baba, has deployed a combined team of police operatives and a vigilante group to the area. Sources in the area said attempts by palace guards and other security operatives to foil the attack left some of them wounded. NASA said that efforts are ongoing to rescue the chief and his wife unhurt, and that the public will be kept abreast of events unfolding. Imo residents still comply with Ekpa sit-at-home order. Findings in Owerri, the capital state of Imo State, show that many residents across the 27 council of the state complied with the sit-at-home order issued by Simon Ekpa-led faction of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, on Monday. The residents ignored the economic empowerment option it suggested by the incarcerated leader of the group, Nnamdi Kanu. In Owerri, many businesses and premises, including banks, markets, and food outlets, were closed as residents disregarded the Imo State government's directive for businesses to open or risk being sued. There were only a few vehicles on the road in Owerri and other parts of the state. The rather few numbers of shop owners who opened their shops provided only skeletal sales and services as they hid to do so. Moving on, Abaribe accuses Simon Ekpa of using sit-at-home to make money. Senator Enyenaya Abaribe, representing Abia South, has accused a self-acclaimed disciple of Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa, of using the weekly sit-at-home to make money. Abaribe made this claim while speaking with journalists, adding that the money involved is the reason Ekpa and his cohorts are refusing to reverse the order. He alleged that Ekpa and his men have seated and stated that they would not stop making the sit-at-home order until Southeast leaders go and see him in Finland, which is an indirect request for money. The lawmaker also pointed out that leaders in the Southeast agreed to meet with President Bola Tinubu's government over Kanu's continued detention. And away from that, Lagos completes modern floating jetty at CMS. The Lagos State government has announced the completion of a modern floating jetty at CMS Marina to enhance safe commuting of residents and visitors in Lagos. The Managing Director, Lagos State Ferry Services, Lagos Ferry, Abdulbak Balogun, has disclosed that in a statement issued by the Director of Public Affairs Service, Akim Udusina, on Monday in Lagos. Balogun said that the new jetty at CMS was a strategic connection point to the recently commissioned CMS Marina Blue Line rail system. According to him, the Lagos State government is committed to improving facilities for a safe water transportation system aimed at reduction in road traffic, provision of reliable alternative mode of transportation, and improve productivity of the residents. Moving on, NAFDAC reviews regulation of food containing fats and others. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has announced the Gazette of Reviewed Fat, Oil, and Food Containing Fat and Oil Regulation 2022 and Prepackaged Food Labeling Regulation 2022. The announcement was made on Monday as part of efforts to reduce rising cases of non-communicable disease (NCDs), including hypertension, heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung disease and deaths arising from them. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Christiana Adeyeye, made the development known during a press conference held in Lagos by the agency. The agency promised to fully implement the regulations to protect public health. Adeyeye said, emergence of the reviewed regulations implies that the 2005 versions stand repealed without jeopardizing whatever was purportedly done in the spirit of the old versions. She also said that reports from the World Health Organization (WHO) indicate that NCDs are collectively responsible for 74% of all deaths worldwide. She noted that in real terms, more than 36 million people die yearly from NCDs. Among these, cardiovascular diseases, CVD, are the number one cause of death, accounting for 17.5 million deaths yearly. And away from that, WAEC withholds result of candidates over billion naira debt. The West African Examinations Council has withheld the result of students from 8 states of the Federation who sat for the 2023 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASSCE. The withholding of their result is due to the indebtedness of the 8 states to the Examinations Council. The development was announced at a press conference on Monday in Lagos by the head of National Office, Patrick Aragon. While Aragon also did not give the amount of the states or individually and collectively, it was gathered that it runs into hundreds of millions in naira. They also said that a total of 1,613,733 candidates that sat for the examination, 1,361,608 candidates, representing 84.38%, obtained credit and above in a minimum of any 5 subjects, while 1,287,920 candidates, representing 79.81%, obtained credits and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics. Niger's military leader named Economist as new prime minister. Almost 2 weeks after the military took over power in Niger Republic, the military leaders in that country have appointed a former economy minister, Ali Mohamed Lamine Zehin, as the country's new prime minister. A spokesman for the military junta made the announcement on television late on Monday night. Lamine Zehin was formerly the Minister of Economy and Finance for several years in the cabinet of then-President Mamadou Tanja, who was ousted in 2010 and most recently worked as an economist for the Pan-African Development Bank in Chad. It is not clear what this appointment portends for Niger Republic. Away from that, Islamic State Group Q's 10 Syria pro-government troops. An Islamic State group has killed 10 Syrian troops and pro-government fighters in the former jihadist stronghold at Raqqa province on Monday, despite losing their last peace on territory in Syria in 2019. IS maintains hideouts in the vast Syrian desert from which it has carried out ambushes and runs attacks. During this recent incident, the IS attacked positions and checkpoints belonging to the regime, setting fire to military vehicles and prefabricated houses, said a source. 6 soldiers were also wounded, with some in critical condition. And away from that, FIFA said German-born Torunariga can play for Super Eagles. The Federation Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, has granted the request of Jordan Torunariga to switch nationality. The German-born defender, who plays for KAA Gent of Belgium, was born to Nigerian parents but represented Germany at various youth levels. The player's status chamber of FIFA has officially granted his request to play for the Super Eagles. This means that Torunariga could be included in Nigeria's squad for next month's 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Sao Tome and Principe. It would be recalled that Torunariga turned down the chance to represent Nigeria in May 2018. And that's the global news for now, but before we go, let's take another look at the major stories. Widow of man shot dead by police has demanded justice. Senate has suspended El-Rufai Okotete Danladi screening. WAEC withheld result of candidate over $1 billion debt. Niger's military leaders has named economist prime minister. And thanks for joining us. I am Jonathan Powe. Do enjoy the rest of your day.